We're hearing from Geo News, a Pakistani TV station, that's saying that Nawaz Sharif will be attending Narendra Modi's swearing-in ceremony on Monday. This information being brought to light by Geo News, as we said, a prominent Pakistani news channel. Gaurav Sawant, our strategic affairs editor, joins us on the phone line. Gaurav, there has been a lot of speculation, particularly after yesterday's events in Afghanistan and Islamabad, but Sharif seems to have mustered up the courage to travel to New Delhi after all.
Well, Nawaz Sharif himself, Pakistan's Prime Minister, was extremely keen to come to India, and this we were told on more than one occasion and by more than one source. Not only his advisors, but even his daughter, Maryam Nawaz, went on record to say that he was extremely keen to come to India. The Pakistan's High Commission, the High Commissioner in New Delhi, he'd also strongly recommended that Sharif should attend Narendra Modi's swearing-in ceremony on the 26th of May. What we've also been told at this point of time through Geo News and other sources in Pakistan, despite the criticism, despite the objection by the ISI Army Hafiz Saeed lobby, Nawaz Sharif has made up his mind. He's to travel to India with him. There will also be his advisor on foreign policy, Sartaj Aziz. We've also been told that Nawaz Sharif wants one takeaway from India, and that's a favor perhaps he expects of Narendra Modi, that India will say that dialogue process will once again resume should he come to India, because Nawaz Sharif is taking a grave personal and political risk by coming to India.
Gaurav, as you mentioned, there is a risk to him, considering the opposition from what people could refer to as Pakistan's deep state. Those attacks yesterday in Herat on the Indian consulate and in Islamabad in sectors which have very prominent embassies and missions was seen as a signal to Nawaz Sharif from the deep state that going to India would be a bad move on his part.
Well, the attack on on the Indian consulate in Herat, India was very cautious in its response. In fact, both India and Afghanistan's ambassador to India were very clear when they said that the source of this terror is beyond borders. There's a common border that India and Afghanistan share with the source of the terror. So indication was that Pakistan is that source of terror, but it was a very measured response from India. One had the Pakistani deep state perhaps thought that there'd be a lot of rhetoric from India, and with a robust Prime Minister who's seen as somebody who'd adopt a harsh stance against Pakistan, perhaps they expected some rhetoric. That did not happen. Despite the Herat attack, despite what happened in Islamabad, there's been cautious optimism from both sides, and Nawaz Sharif, we are told, is now willingly taking that risk. And if you recall, Nawaz Sharif's daughter had also tweeted, Maryam Nawaz had tweeted, I personally think cordial relations with the new Indian government should be cultivated and will help remove the psychological barriers, fears and misgivings. So that is what Maryam Nawaz had tweeted.
All right, we also understand that Sartaj Aziz, the National Security Advisor to Pakistan, will be joining that delegation. An interesting delegation being brought in by Sharif on what's being seen as, at least visibly, or as they say, the optics of it, a significant foreign policy moment.
Well, sir, that's one interesting takeaway. That Pakistan expects of this visit. Pakistan is very keen that Nawaz Sharif does not go back empty-handed. He wants to go back with one assurance from Prime Minister designate Narendra Modi that the dialogue process between India and Pakistan would resume. But if you recall, Prime Minister designate Narendra Modi, while he was a candidate and Prime Ministerial candidate, he had said, गोली बारी के बीच बातचीत नहीं हो सकती. So the ball is still in Pakistan's court to create the right environment, and we'll have to see. Now inviting all the SAARC leaders was a foreign policy masterstroke. It's being seen as a foreign policy masterstroke. It remains to be seen how it plays out in the days to come.
All right, Gaurav. Okay, I'm told that Shari Rahman, who's a leader who's one of the many leaders in Pakistan, is speaking to Headlines today on the phone right now. Ma'am, could you talk about this decision by Mr. Sharif and what it means to the Pakistani government at this stage?
Yes, I'm certainly speaking to the issue very broadly, and also certainly from the Pakistan People's Party, that We have supported the move to go while he was still making the decision quite publicly in Parliament and outside. And we see this as an important opportunity to break the ice and to reconstruct the threads and pick up the threads of a dialogue that should be resumed at this point. And we hope that this is an important opportunity for the beginning of a long journey between the two nations and the construction of peace in South Asia.
You've not been a big Modi fan yourself, though. Do you believe that that Nawaz Sharif is doing the right thing in speaking to Narendra Modi?
I don't think that there's any question of who's a Modi fan or not. The point is that countries deal with countries, and as India's mandated Prime Minister, certainly Pakistan and all its leadership, like the rest of the world, should look forward to doing business with him if he extends a hand. And I believe he has just done that.
What do you make of reports and these are reports from Pakistan, that the country's army and the ISI were against Nawaz Sharif's visit?
I'm not aware of these reports. I think they're more speculation than reality. And really it would be more constructive to worry about where to take this further than to what was preventing this and what was not. The point is he's accepted it. It is entirely his mandate to do so. And it's important for us to look to it as an opportunity, as I said, and not something that he should be embarrassed about. I think there is absolutely there's a clear mainstream opinion consensus in Pakistan that we need to go forward with India. And certainly there was trepidation and anxiety among certain circles about a BJP Prime Minister for the second time round. But our experience, if our experience is going to be certainly like Mr. Vajpayee's, then I think we must look to the future and take things as the new PM of India reaches out. I mean, the journey from here to tomorrow really lies in a statesman's hand. And if they're willing to show that statesman, Pakistan must surely respond. And we are certainly supporting it. We are not making politics on this. We are suggesting right away that he should go.
I just want to introduce Aziz Ahmed Khan, who is the former Pakistani High Commissioner to India. Mr. Khan, I'll be with you in just a moment. I have another question for Ms. Rahman, if you can answer that, Ms. Rahman. As one of the major political parties in Pakistan, are you expecting anything concrete from these meetings on Monday? We know that there will be a state dinner for all SAARC leaders, or are you just hoping for a breaking of the ice?
Well, I think it's important to hope for more, but let's be realistic. At a inauguration, other than symbolic gestures and, as I said, a very kind of small sizing up, there can't be more than small talk and an assessment of each other and important gestures of reaching out and returning those gestures. So I don't think we can expect any substantive meeting, and then let's not imbue this kind of meeting with that level of gloss. I wouldn't even call it a meeting. I think it's a ceremony, and it's important for the SAARC region to be seen together. Since 1984, SAARC has not been together this way. I mean, there have been summits and all, but of course, the same mandate exists since Rajiv Gandhi, and he had invigorated SAARC. Perhaps Mr. Modi will see this as a new beginning and try to reinvigorate SAARC.
All right. So hopeful, but also being realistic. Ms. Rahman, thank you very much for speaking to Headlines today. As we told you earlier, Aziz Ahmed Khan is also on the phone line with us. He's been Pakistan's High Commissioner to India between 2003 and 2005. Mr. Khan, you were present at a time when the NDA was last in power. What do you expect with the new NDA government led by Narendra Modi?
I think almost it will continue Hello.
I'm afraid we seem to be having some technical problems with our line to Mr. Khan. We're going to try and rectify. that problem. I'm told also that Admiral Javed Iqbal is on the phone line, a strategic affairs expert. Sir, the news that Nawaz Sharif will in fact be travelling to Delhi, is that good news for ties, or do you see it, as some in the Pakistani military do, that it was perhaps avoidable?
I think it was very courageous of Nawaz Sharif to take this decision, and it is needed in the interest of peace in the region. I think India must value it and must appreciate it that Nawaz Sharif has taken this deliberate decision with a lot of constraints which he is facing right now. I think that we should take the opportunity of moving forward, and the hawks on both sides should not try to disturb the peace effort. I think I congratulate the Indian Prime Minister for giving this invitation, and I also appreciate Nawaz Sharif for taking this step. I think both the country needs peace, and we welcome it.
Admiral Iqbal, who in Pakistan, sir, was opposed to Nawaz Sharif, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif coming to India?
Look, you see, the thing is that we all know that Pakistan has not had the same type of democracy, or at least the history of democracy like India. So, it is the first time in 65 years that a democratic government handed over to the democratic government. So whatever weaknesses are there in the system right now in Pakistan, India should not make issue out of that, but actually outcome should be seen. I think we be both neighbors, if we encourage each other to strengthen the system, and the people, non-state actors, as well as the previous ill will was holding Nawaz Sharif.
So is this, really, Admiral, just a photo op? Admiral, would this just be a photo op, or will there be something substantive that Pakistan expects of this meeting between Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and Prime Minister designate Narendra Modi?
I think it will be just breaking of ice. It will be just, weighing each other. It is. I think we should not say, even if it is photo session, I think it is good that the two leaders, two top leaders of the region, with more than nearly 150 crore people under them, they should really shake hands, and then they had an opportunity to communicate with each other. I think we should look at that. Nothing will be solved in one meeting, and it is not a photo opportunity. Otherwise, Nawaz Sharif could have sent president.
Important news breaking this hour that Nawaz Sharif will be attending Narendra Modi's swearing in on the 26th, that is Monday. There's been no official release from the External Affairs Ministry. However, this story being reported widely in the Pakistani press this morning. He's also likely to be accompanied by his National Security and Foreign Affairs advisor. We have on the phone line with us Asif Bhatti. He's a senior journalist from Pakistan. Mr. Bhatti, could you tell us about why this decision took so long?
The relationship between Pakistan and India, and the importance and the fragile current situation in the region, it was very difficult to understand that whether Prime Minister of Pakistan should accept this invitation or not. And he discussed at least 2 to 3 days on this issue, and he deliberated with the top officials of the foreign ministry and some of the other important people in the civil government. So finally, the result has announced, and we heard from the very top official of the Prime Minister office that Prime Minister has decided to accept that invitation of Narendra Modi to attend the swearing-in ceremony in Delhi on the 26th of May. And I think it is a very important development in terms that the Pakistan wants to resolve all the critical issues with India, and especially the resumption of the dialogue with India on the different issues. Especially Pakistani Prime Minister, I wanted to mention here that Nawaz Sharif rang immediately after the announcement of the results and when it was declared that the Modi would be the next Prime Minister of India, he rang to the Modi and gave his best wishes to him for the success. So it was the beginning, and now the government of Pakistan has decided that the Prime Minister should have to reach India, and he will meet with the your Prime Minister on one-on-one basis, and then there will be very important discussion on the issues of bilateral interests and so on.